I'm going to utilize this opportunity to talk about history. Well, some of you in the crowd will be like, history doesn't matter because history was like thousands of years ago. It's not like the Trojan War is ever going to be fought again and Mona Lisa is just a painting. So let the past be the past and let's just forget about it. Well, guys, in my opinion, the perspective of the subject itself is very lopsided. In curriculums, this is taught as a subject based on chronological events of evolution, revolution, and war. Studying all of these wars and struggles gives the basic dislike to any reader about history. Trust me, people, this is not another talk on Albert Einstein or any other great laureate of that kind. Instead, I'm here to remind you about the fun side of history. What if I told you this very mundane subject can make you laugh very hard? There are some ancient stand-up comedians who missed the spotlight by a little bit because they were not updated with trends back then. The trends back then were mainly war and science, but these comedians were way far into the future. And not many people understood this because they preferred Aristotle over Aristophanes, who is, of course, our father of comedy. History has always been a subject related to social reforms and other subject origins. In this process of learning history, we've never seen the fun side of it. For example, we all know Benjamin Franklin. For the ones who do not know Benjamin Franklin, he's one of the founding fathers of the United States and a pioneer towards drafting the Declaration of Independence. But here's what history doesn't talk about him. Did he know that Ben Franklin wasn't going to write the Declaration of Independence in the first place? It's because the committee, which consisted of Thomas Jefferson and Roger Sherman, thought he might slip a joke into it. In fact, Thomas Jefferson was so equipped that he often kept asking Ben Franklin, do you actually want to compose this? Imagine, guys, the founding father of the United States was actually a little bit of a prankster himself. There are so many ways to learn this subject from just reading books. Personally, I love history. Once, when I was flipping through a history book, all I found was war contents like Cold War, World War I, World War II, Austro-Persian War. This is when the thought-provoking question hit me. Is history filled with only war? But this is when I came across my breakthrough and I found information about Pythagoras, a well-known mathematician. Pythagoras of Samos founded a school of mathematicians and predominantly worked with geometry. He's also the man behind the famous theory, the Pythagoras theorem. His successor, Theano, was one of the first female mathematicians to gain a status in the mathematics field. I was struck by his skills and researched deeper into his life. There was so many information on what a well-disciplined man he was and what a socially apt man he was. His influence was so far-reaching that he had his own cult. Imagine, a Pythagorean cult. But there was one little thing I found peculiar about Pythagoras' life, and it was a phobia that he had. Let me give you a hint. It was not acrophobia, hydrophobia, or any other autophobia kinds. Does anybody from the audience want to take a guess of what phobia he had? He had a phobia for beans. This phobia was so stuck to him that it even cost his own life. To best put forward his death, this is how it goes. A vast field of beans stood in front of Pythagoras as curtain call approached. He had just ran about a mile to escape from the men who was chasing to kill him. But his traits took him over. This well-disciplined man stood to his words and was staring at a single bean. He was just standing there, hesitating for his next move. And focusing on the single bean cost him time. So the pursuers caught up to him and killed him. I mean, we know many stories where people have given up lives for another people, but Pythagoras is special. He's given up his life for a diminutive cosmic object called a bean. Okay, now back to the cult that I was mentioning. So he found the cult in the Italian city of Cortona, which is south of Italy. This cult was very disciplined and they followed every single order of Pythagoras. They were so loyal to Pythagoras that they literally forbade beans. So this was dubbed as the Pythagorean meal. So now we know that the man who found a theory also found a new type of cuisine. Also, knowing the lighter side of history can ease the tension on the reader. This is a very mundane subject, very fun to learn. Getting back to the idea that history is only related to mainly wars, social reforms, and origins, here is another instance. It's like wars will always be that elder famous brother that everyone talks about. while ancient writings were actually the unshown little ones. But in this scenario enters a new character called science. War and science together dominated so much that there was no actual humor era. The ancient writings were not valued by the ancient people. But let's just spare a thought and think about this. These writings were the ones that influenced famous authors like Shakespeare, Austen, and Oscar Wilde, which in turn influenced our modern day sitcoms and comic strips. But an era of humor never really existed. Back then, humor was even famous in cathedrals like the one in Winchester. Okay, now I'm going to make a bizarre claim of how history can influence the legacy of a true warrior. Now here's a simple question. Who is Napoleon Bonaparte? Napoleon Bonaparte was a French statesman and a military leader who rose to prominence during the French Revolution and led several successful campaigns during the French Revolutionary Wars. He did lose in Waterloo, but that was a defeat he had before that, which history failed to see. And that story goes like this. So once, Napoleon had ordered his chief, Alexander Berthier, to capture bunny rabbits, so he could go into a bunny rabbit hunt. However, when Napoleon started to prowl, accompanied by beaters and gun bearers, the rabbits were released from the cage, and the hunt was so on. But something strange happened. It was not the cliché victory that Napoleon always encountered. The rabbits didn't scurry in fright. Instead, they bounded towards Napoleon and his men. Hundreds of fuzzy bunnies gunned towards the world's most powerful man. I mean, we all know Napoleon has won many wars, but this little defeat was never mentioned. To be honest, mentioning such little bloopers can help the understanding of this subject a lot. What I meant by this is that when we're talking about Japan in World War II, we'll include a description about their soldier, Hiro Onoda, who stayed on the Philippines naval base for the next 29 years thinking the war wasn't actually over. The old general had to come out of retirement and force Hiro to go back home. Or how, when we're talking about Fidel Castro, we can mention his love for dairy products and ice creams. I mean, he literally went on to create a super cow that provides constant supply of milk to him. And now coming back to inter-European wars, we can talk about how in 1866, Liechtenstein sent an army of 80 personnel to fight in the Austro-Prussian War. But they came back, surprisingly, with 81 people, as they made a friend along the way. I really wish we explore the lighter side of history to brighten up the dim affinity we all have towards this subject. Thanks to well-known Asian ministers, such as Tenali Rama and Mullah Nazaruddin, who have massively contributed towards throwing the light on the fun side. My appeal is that, please include lighter side of history into every curriculum. It will actually benefit the students, as they will love studying history a lot. Thank you, people.